Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamualaikum. Ji ayanu pakhair agale ni hao chunishume washmale. Ohio Gonzaimas, Guten Morgen, Hola Boyo, Privyet, Kaifahal, Halishuma Chatore, Ahlan Vasal, Marhaba, Buna, Mucho Gracias, Swabia, Bali Gareaya, Hosh Galden, Anaya Sayo, Khoya Mora, Chivatochi, Haljod, Kalimera, Khairutan, and a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning. Jummah Mubarak to each and every one of you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really lucky that I've been joined by my wonderful colleague who happens to be Miss Eesha Rehan. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, hello Eesha, assalamu alaikum. How are you feeling today?
Walaikum assalam, Shahzad. I feel absolutely fantastic, and I am very blessed to wake up in the very cinematic and beautiful evergreen city of Islamabad. However, today the downpour was not upon us, but the impact of the monsoon rains has been impacting all around the country. And I feel like my Instagram feed is filled with videos. Every other reel, every other picture I see is how urban flooding is taking place. People cannot go to their schools, their towns, their offices. It's very hard to travel and just hard to exist right now.
Exactly. So may it be motorway, may it be structures within Punjab, may it be other infrastructure, ladies and gentlemen. The rain has actually been wreaking havoc onto us as well, unfortunately. And speaking of it, that the country is in the grip of heavy rainfall, with reports of water rising in streams and nallas in various areas getting submerged. The Pakistan Army has been deployed in high-risk areas and an emergency declared in Rawalpindi. A flood situation has arisen due to record rainfall in Chakwal, Rawalpindi and Jhelum. According to the PDMA spokesperson, 63 people have been killed and 290 injured in the last 24 hours in Punjab. May their souls rest in peace and patience for the bereaved. Such is the situation in the country as of now. And for each and every one of you who's actually listening to us, please make sure that you stay indoors, stay safe, and spread all of this authentic information and news to people around you who might be prone to floods.
And since Punjab is in the grip of devastating monsoon emergency floods, the NDMA spokesperson has stated that the authority, in collaboration with relevant agencies, has taken proactive measures to manage any potential emergencies. The NDMA urged the public to exercise extreme caution through the heavy rainfall period, the forecast and the risk of flooding, and citizens, they were advised to avoid crossing nalas, bridges and submerged roads. Residents in low-lying areas were instructed to relocate their valuables and livestock to safer ground. People in vulnerable zones were encouraged to prepare the emergency kits with flood, water and medicines for 3 to 5 days. Local administrations were directed to keep divergence and machinery ready, while residents were advised to stay updated through official alerts on TV and mobile applications. So I feel like we all need to stay alert with the weather advisory and make sure that all the people living in Kachi Abadi or maybe low-lying areas, they can move for a little while to make sure that they stay safe.
Exactly, and not just that, Eesha. I think what I was surprised and shocked to see was that unfortunately, I don't think that, that people of Pakistan actually remember the incidents that have taken place in the past. Now imagine everybody spoke about the Swat incident, how the tourists were out there, for breakfast, and unfortunately when the water stream came, everybody went with them. That was very unfortunate for us to see. Now imagine that just yesterday, when there were reporters out there reporting and making sure that, that they actually instruct people and give authentic news to kind of stay inside, stay indoors, stay home, do not go anywhere else, and please make sure that you protect yourself. Imagine that people were standing right next to Nalalai and making videos of telling people, hey, yaar nala chad gaya ya ye chad gaya. I think what I would want to request to our Pakistani brothers and sisters is, you need to stay back home, because otherwise, if you're going to be out there, in areas where, it's prone to flood, what do you expect? So I think I would want people to be more sane, be wise, and for parents who are out there, please make sure that you do not let your children go out. Because I think that's the kind of irony that we as Pakistanis face. Now, if you do know that there's a road which is flooded, people are taking their cars in as well, and all of a sudden you see the cars floating up in the water, people really need to take a seat, make sure that you sit back, relax at your homes, and that that you do not have to go through the pain of going, or probably because your car is stuck in flood. and whatnot. You know, I've seen people do that multiple times. So please make sure that you look after. You know, you really do not have to go out there and tell your relatives somewhere in UK or USA कि यार इधर तो सैलाब आने वाला है. You know, standing right on top of River Chenab or standing right next to, you know, Nala Lai. So please make sure that you stay back home. जज्बाती होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. हम आपको बता रहे हैं, and that's it. You know, this will do. But while we are over here, I think I would want to kind of speak about them, because every time I do remember, because Eesha, my grandparents' place is in Rawalpindi, and I do remember that it was flooded, I think somewhere back in 2005 or 4, and it was the Pakistan Army who actually came for the relief, and it has always been Pakistan Army who comes for the relief activities, and the Pakistan Army conducts large-scale aerial rescue operations across flood-affected areas to ensure timely evacuation and relief. Army aviation helicopters conducted missions in hard-to-reach regions, rescuing dozens of people in Chakri, Rajan. 3 individuals were airlifted, while 27 were rescued from Chakwal and Khanpur. 10 people were evacuated from Chakmonjo, 31 from Dogbadar, and 38 from Darapur during successful operation. Life jackets and immediate assistance were provided to the rescued, with local administration actively supporting the relief efforts. The Pakistan Army reiterated its commitment to stand with the nation during this difficult time.
I think the army always steps in and makes sure that the Pakistani citizens stay safe and alert and cautious during this time, and they always put in effort to rescue lives and
exactly. Thank you so much for saying that, which is why, you know, I would want to kind of make sure that, you know, that I share this news as well, because the clean water supply, if we are to speak about it, we do know how can actually be contaminated with the sewerage lines as well. So the Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif Saab has formed a task force to ensure clean water supply for Islamabad and Rawalpindi. The Prime Minister directed the CDA to prepare a rainwater recharge plan and prevent sewage from polluting Rawal Dam. He also emphasized swift implementation, with the meeting reviewing progress on dam projects, and the proposed Islamabad Water Board will oversee water reserves, household distribution and stakeholder coordination. A water treatment system for slum areas and an integrated water supply from Tarbela, Khanpur and Rawal dams are also to be established. I think that's a wonderful initiative, and thank you so much, Honorable Prime Minister, you know, for thinking about that, and for the people, you know, who actually live within the Kacha areas or the Kachi Abadis.
We described the situation right now, the current situation. It beautifully describes how water is the essence of life, and we do need it, we enjoy it, but it can be like 2 sides of a coin. It has 2 faces, right? So one side is very pleasant and the other side is very devastating, which is why we need to talk about how a powerful 3.7 magnitude earthquake struck 7.3 magnitude earthquake struck the American state of Alaska, triggering a tsunami warning along with 700 miles stretched off the state of the southern coast, prompting communities to order residents to higher ground. The earthquake struck just south of Sand Point, located on the Pop-Off Island, where a community around 580 people reside. The U.S. Tsunami Center confirmed the warning was active from about 40 miles southwest of Homer and Unamic Pass. The Kodiak residents have a population of 5,200 people, which was among the larger communities that is to be affected. And what is really shocking is how the state of Alaska actually lies not on one fault line but multiple fault lines, and it sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire. So just to imagine and visualize this, imagine you take a boiled egg, okay, you crack it with a spoon and different lines will appear. So it is not just on one of those regular lines, it is on the lines, it is at a point where all the lines are connected, and it's a massive loop of lines. So it's very, very devastating and shocking how Alaska sits on this very fragile place where the earth is very active and dormant.
फिर भी समझाना क्या चाहती हो?
समझाना चाहती हूँ कि imagine you take an egg, right, and you crack it, so you can visualize it, how the lines, they're cracked in one point altogether, and then
so from where the cracks originate, that's where it lies.
Yeah,
thank you so much, you know, for this wonderful explanation of, you know, what it actually means. But while we're over here, I think there's one more aspect that I would want to discuss, and that is that, you know, while we were talking about rains and flooding and, you know, rains wreaking havoc on Pakistan, there's one more thing that I would ask you, and that is that you were like that, you know, while you're going to your office, while you're going to your schools, Do you think children are actually going to schools this time
Well,
around because
I
it's
feel
summer
like
vacations?
there's
How
summer
did you bring
camps.
that in?
There are summer camps, and then people want to
Okay,
travel to their friends' houses.
Yeah.
Maybe there's sports camps.
I-
And universities are still
Yeah.
open, Shahzad.
Yeah, because for all of those children who didn't pass their semesters, you know, so they really
They're
have to
taking
go in
summer
for their
semester.
summers, but it's good. Thank you so much. But while we're talking about it, while we're talking about children, I think there's one more thing that I would want to bring to people's attention, and that is that imagine how many times when we have a newly born in our arms that we go and say that, you know, we really need to check if the baby is doing perfectly well. You know, the doctors do have this standard operating procedure. What they will do is that they will look at the eyes, you know, probably do this around the ears and whatnot. But, you know, there comes a time after 2-3 years when we start to feel as parents that, you know, that there's something wrong with the child. And what happens is, because of the fact that the doctors didn't really do a thorough checkup, the child might not hear properly, the child might not see properly, and, you know, then we actually have to go back to the doctors again. So today what we are doing is that we are actually going to speak about obviously cochlear implants and, you know, how successful they have been, and we have shared a success story over here on our morning show as well, where a child came in, the surgeon himself is over here. So we're going to speak about deafness, different types of deafness, what is profound deafness, and how many people in Pakistan actually suffer from such a menace. So ladies and gentlemen, to talk about it, we're very lucky that we have been joined by Dr. JAWWAD Ahmed, who happens to be a cochlear implant surgeon. Hello sir, assalamu alaikum, good morning, how are you feeling today?
Fine.
Thank you so much sir for joining us, wonderful to have you over here. So sir, first things first, let's first of all figure out what is deafness, because for us, a person who cannot hear anything is deaf. You know, so why don't you describe and take us through what are different types of deafness?
Yes. Deafness means simply a hearing loss.
Okay.
And there are different type of the deafness. Means deafness doesn't mean a profound loss. Deafness means a mild hearing loss. It may be a moderate, severe, or moderate to severe, and profound deafness. And people in Pakistan are suffering from different type of the hearing loss.
Alright.
There was a study carrying out here by the WHO, and it revealed that 1.6 per thousand population of our country is suffering from different type of the hearing loss. And among this 1.6%, 20% of this population is suffering from the profound loss.
Okay.
So hearing loss is a totally different things. Sometimes it appears at birth, sometimes we have to face during our phase of the life.
Exactly. So, sir, let's get started with birth. Now, what happens is that unfortunately it's really challenging and difficult, and we might not have apparatus all over Pakistan where we can figure out that, you know, that a child which was born just now is or cannot actually hear, you know, so may it be a boy or a girl. So, how do you think that parents really need to be careful about that, first of all?
Actually, pregnant women must be careful about their health, about the drugs they are taking, and about the infections which they are suffering from during this period. And I already told you 20% of this 1.6 population is suffering from the profound loss. And sometimes females have infections like rubella, which is quite notorious for causing this deafness, different influenza viruses, and especially the blood pressure, diabetes, especially the females who are having the diabetes. They must be very careful about the control of diabetes and intake of the drugs which their doctors have told about for the control of the diabetes mellitus, and especially the precautions at time of the delivery too.
All right, wonderful. And so what different types of deafness are out there?
There are two types of the deafness. One is conductive and one is nerve deafness, simple nerve deafness.
Conductive
And one is nerve deafness.
Nerve
Deafness.
Okay.
Conductive means this is due to some process like a trauma, like a disease. Someone are suffering from different types of the ear infections, discharge is coming out, having a wax or something else, or having a trauma in the ear which have ruptured their drum or their ear ossicles. This is treatable and can be correctable. And other type is nerve deafness. Nerve deafness is a reversible process.
Okay.
So we have to provide them some rehabilitations. Like if it is a mild or moderate, we have to go for the hearing aids. If it becomes severe, then a superpowered of hearing aids. And if the nerve deafness has become so much worse, and a child or adult has become the profound deaf, then surgery or the cochlear implantation is advised.
And what is the ratio of people you receive who have damaged eardrums because of listening to loud music? I feel like we live in a century where earphones, AirPods and headphones are used very commonly, and just a few days ago I saw this a video on my feed where a woman, she slept with loud music, headphones on at night, and when she woke up, she was declared deaf. So how impactful is this? Please speak
Actually,
about it.
absolutely right. Actually, the high volume music affects the certain frequency of the ear. Our ear just act like a piano. It has just like a piano has a high, moderate, and then low frequencies. Same our ear has a different type of the frequencies. So high volume music or the noise affect a certain frequency. This is 6,000 frequency, and it affects it. And this effect is usually irreversible. Once you have it, you will listen sounds, you will have a sound, but you will feel difficulty in discrimination of the words.
All
right.
right. So
Thank
for
you
all
so-
the people
yeah.
viewing, they need to know that the frequency above 6,000 is
Yes.
damaging and it's irreversible. So keep that in mind.
Yes,
Exactly, and I think for for all of those technology brands which are out there are actually sure of that as well, and it gets approved, but still people really need to be careful about it. Now, sir, I want to bring your attention to another subject over here, and how much does it contribute? Obviously, because now I'm going to come back to genetics, but let's come down to what parents actually do wrong. Just the other day, I mean, I don't know, my daughters were saying something, and we had somebody else's baby in our lap, and all of a sudden, because my wife couldn't take it, she started yelling. I'm sorry, that I'm saying this, but she started yelling while she had a baby in her lap. How much do you think that yelling can actually have an impact on a toddler or a kid that you are actually carrying?
Yes, actually, genetic is very much important. Especially in certain areas where the joint family system, or the joint, joint, you can say arranged marriage is quite common.
Okay.
Here, these things are quite common, especially in majority areas of the KPK, certain areas of the northern Punjab,
Yes.
and Sindh. We are having a first public sector hospital, cochlear implant center in my hospital. So we are receiving patients from all over the country.
All right.
So so we have the statistics from all over. So we just see the patients who are coming from these areas where the arranged marriage is common. They have genetic problems, and genetic problems they appear very in a very different way, and they produce some genes appear at the birth.
All right.
Some genes appear at the birth. Their effect appears at the birth. Sometimes they appear late in the life.
All right.
We have the statistics, they appear around 8 years, 18 years, 28 years. So they have a different type of the behavior. We say this is a dominant gene, this is a recessive gene. Dominant gene hearing loss appears at the birth. And there are facilities available. There are latest technologies, and we have a screening system. And especially if you have a doubt about your child is hearing or not, especially even at the birth, there are certain technologies or instruments are available. We can judge hearing is there or not, because this is very much important. If your child is profound deaf or completely deaf, then best treatment option is around 1 year of the age.
All right.
And the best results you can get it around 1 year of the age, and approximately 95% accuracy rate is.
Exactly, and sir, for all of those parents who are out there, I think through speech test you can even identify if there's something wrong with your child, or if there's any sort of deafness which might exist with your baby child, or the child who's actually growing up. Now, sir, let's come towards the treatment of it. Now, if you are to speak about it, is all type of deafness treatable now?
Yes. All type of the deafness. There are two types of the deafness. First, I told you conductive and sensorineural. Conductive is all treated by the operation. Nerve deafness is treated by the hearing aids. And when these hearing aids are not working and there is a complete loss, then surgery is the option.
All right.
And about at certain age, and especially if nerve deafness or complete deafness is at your child at birth, then surgery is possible just up to 5 years of the age.
Okay.
If you are not contacting with a doctor, or you are not contacting with any health personnel, then surgery will not be possible after 5 years age, and your child will become permanently deaf.
Exactly. Thank you so much, sir, for saying that. And in addition to this, sir, what if you can hear from one ear but you cannot hear from the other?
At birth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we say this is a single-sided deafness.
Okay.
Sometimes you have a strong viral infections. Sometimes you have some congenital anomaly. You have structural problems is there. So your one ear is hearing and one ear is not hearing. If you ask me personally, then for developing a speech, 1 ear is sufficient.
Okay.
You can speak, you can develop a speech with 1 ear. But if you think 1 year is your child is not 1 year is not working, is not listening, then still a treatment is available.
Exactly.
Alright,
And sir, the sole reason why I asked you this question is because I actually have a friend, his name is Rana Asim. So what I've seen is that he would always, you know, kind of put his finger, you know, he's itching his ear, he's putting earbuds in his ear, and I think that's why he's actually lost, you know, his ability to hear from 1 ear. Do you think that that can actually cause damage?
Yes, actually this may cause certain infections which may disturb the mechanism of the ear.
Okay.
And even if one is suffering from there are certain latest technologies are available here. We are operating these cases for last 10 years, and especially if one is having only 1 ear which is listening, then certain instruments, certain surgeries are available, and we can activate this ear. But the only problem is he has to report earlier. If he is having some single
अब तो
sided
सर उसकी उम्र तकरीबन 45 साल है, अब तो नहीं लाइलाज हो गया होगा।
लाइलाज इस सेंस में नहीं है कि हम उस ईयर को एक्टिवेट नहीं कर सकते हैं, बट there are certain operational technologies available. We can shift the sounds from this ear to the opposite ear.
Wonderful. So, you know, Rana, you know, there is a treatment available for you. You know, you should never give up on hope.
And Dr. Jawwad, you spoke about how genes play an integral role in being deaf or not being deaf. So in a country like Pakistan, where cousin marriages are very prevalent in the same family, so do you think cousin marriages play a role in possible deafness?
Yes, a lot of. Approximately, you know, so 20%. We have carried out a study in my hospital, and 80% of the children who are coming to my hospital, 15% are having different types of the anomalies.
Okay.
15% of the patients are having different type of the anomalies. They are having a type of the deafness. So cousin marriage definitely plays a role, and especially the parents who are having a multiple children with the deafness. We always suggest them to go for genetic testing. And especially the couples who are come to us with a one baby with a deafness, we always suggest them go for the, before planning our next baby, go for the genetic
Exactly, not just even planning a baby, even when you're about to get married and you know that it's a cousin marriage, I think it's better to get tested as well. People do say a lot of things, oh ji pata nahi aap kya samajhe ya wo kya samajhe, there's nothing wrong in it, you know, it's because of that, you know, that you will be having your offsprings, you know, who are going to be healthy. So I think it's best to get checked. Sir, very quickly, one last question that I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to ask you in Urdu. जिन लोगों से सर हम प्यार करते हैं, जिससे किसी एक से आप प्यार करते हैं, रग़बत होती है सर, अक्सर आप उनसे फरमाइशें करते हैं, वो आपकी फरमाइश नहीं सुनते, वो भी डेफ होते हैं सर?
अब आप कह लें कि हम उससे कहेंगे कि ना
जानबूझ के Thank you so much, Dr. Saab, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you. For everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, the good news is, and the best part is, that may be any type of deafness, it's treatable. So please make sure that you reach out to Dr. Jawwad Ahmed Saab, you know, and because of the fact that, you know, that we have actually had a success story over here inside the studios. There was a little girl who came in who couldn't actually hear, and he actually gave her a cochlear implant, and alhamdulillah till now she's wonderful, she's living her life fullest, and I think it's great. But while we're over here, I think what we need to do is that we really need to celebrate the figures of the world who've actually inspired millions and millions of people, and that too over generations, which is why, you know, every year Nelson Mandela International Day is celebrated on July 18th to honor the legacy of South Africa's most iconic leader and highlight his vision of unity and peace. The day was designated by the United Nations General Assembly in November 2009, with the first Mandela Day held on July 18th, 2010. The day also happens to be his birthday. Every year people are encouraged to spend 67 minutes, one for each year of Mandela's political career, to remember his achievements as a figurehead for South African and global peace movements. And not just that, the best part is that Nelson Mandela himself has been to this very building that we are sitting in as of now.
Shahzad, I did not know that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And you know, after spending 27 years in prison, still striving for peace and equity and freedom, he lived in prison longer than I've existed, you know, and still coming out and making sure to lead a nation with such equity and freedom. It's very, very exceptional. And speaking of exceptional people, today is also the death anniversary of a woman who has won many, many hearts. She has been the queen of character-driven storytelling. Today is also the death anniversary of the celebrated novelist Jane Austen, known for her works like Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility. The central characters of almost all her novels had been women and their relations in society in general of the early 19th century. Jane started writing from an early age, writing poems at the age of 11. She wrote stories and short novels, and if no one has read the novels of Pride and Prejudice, I'm pretty sure you have seen the many adaptations and spin-offs of this novel. I think it has 100, almost around 100 spin-offs and adaptations, so it's very popular.
Exactly. Thank you so much. So the world's remembering Jane Austen. While we're remembering Jane Austen, we really need to kind of take a good look at what's happening in the field of sports. You know, maybe Pakistan or all over the globe, ladies and gentlemen. Asian Men's Under-16 Volleyball Championship. Pakistan beat Iran 3-1, already booked spot for semis. Pakistan's winning streak continues in the second Asian Men's Under-16 Volleyball Championship after beating Iran 3-1. A crossover match, Pakistan have already qualified for the semi-finals after defeating Indonesia in the quarter-finals. This victory marks the 5th consecutive win for the national team in the tournament. Prior to this, Pakistan won all 4 of its pool matches, showcasing an impressive performance throughout the competition. Well, congratulations for the Asian Men's Under-16 volleyball team, and I think that you've been doing phenomenally well. From here onwards, I'm going to move on to IBSF as well, because we have been following all of these stories throughout the week. Always make sure to bring as many stories of sports as I can, and thanks to my producer, you know, for allowing me to do so as well, because it's a luxurious sport. I told you about that. People have these tables within their homes and they play snooker. So Pakistan's Hasnain Akhtar qualified for the Under-17 final of World Snooker Championship in Bahrain. In the semi-final, Hasnain Akhtar displayed an outstanding performance, defeating Poland's Oliwier Nizalek with 4 nail frames. He dominated the match with impressive frame scores of 76-1, 79-8, 88-0 and 62-37 to book his place in the final. Hasnain Akhtar will face Riley Powell of Wales in the final.
Speaking of sports, I think it is time to update our audiences with the World Cup Asian qualifiers update. So Saudi Arabia will face Iraq and Indonesia in Group A, while Qatar takes on the UAE and Oman in Group B during the 4th phase of Asia's 2026 World Cup qualifiers. Saudi Arabia hosts Group A starting October 8th against Indonesia, and Qatar will host Group B at the beginning of October 8th. The group winners will qualify directly for the expanded 48-team World Cup finals in the US, Canada and Mexico. So let's see how this unfolds. The teams will arrive and they will play against each other, and I'm excited.
Exactly, and not just that, I think I'm going to take you to, speak about a major soccer league, ladies and gentlemen, where the FC Cincinnati's all-star midfielder Evander set a club record by scoring in his 5th consecutive match, netting twice in a 3-0 win over Inter Miami in Major League Soccer. Gerardo Valenzuela opened the scoring in the 16th minute. Brazilian striker Evander followed with a goal in this 50th minute and struck again in the 70th to provide all the scoring the host needed. Cincinnati dominated the first half with 7 shots, a strong defense that contained Lionel Messi, who had 2 late attempts blocked. Goalkeeper Roman Celentano secured his 7th clean sheet. Miami's goalkeepers made 4 saves but couldn't stop the loss, ending their 5-match winning streak. Well, that's the end to their winning streak, ladies and gentlemen. But as far as the league is concerned, I think it has been really fascinating to watch the league and how the players have been playing phenomenally well.
Thank you for saying that, Shahzad. And you know, all the sports news makes us feel very excited and happy, but so does something else.
Because you played all the sports.
Almost all the sports. I still need to learn snooker, Shahzad. That is on my bucket list now.
Yeah.
So, you know, after
I still wanted to say something, but I didn't say it.
Okay, we'll hear it someday from
Yeah.
Shahzad. So yeah, talking about how we feel excited and happy, it takes us back to history, how people wanted to travel, how during times of war, people needed connectivity through letters and messages. So an integral part was played by steam engines and railways. These are not just machines, these are time-traveling machines that have connected lives, people, and are a very prevalent part of history. And joining us in studio today is a proud heritage railway enthusiast who is a cultural ambassador. Ambassador, and she loves to travel. She is also both Pakistani and Scottish. She has ties to both places, and she loves to call herself a Scottish-Stani style of living, and it sounds very lively. We're very happy to welcome ANILA Ansari.
Hello, madam. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you feeling today?
Good morning. I'm very well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful to have you over here. So I think first things first, we would want to hear your story. You know, rather than us asking you questions, take us through.
Okay, I mean, there's a lot of dimensions to my personality, but here I want to talk about my railway enthusiastic side. I mean, I'm a travel vlogger, and like you said, a proud Scottish Pakistani. And like 6-7 years ago, I started taking keen interest in railways, trains. I mean, I love old trains since my childhood, but that doesn't make you a railway enthusiast. So slowly, as I started, traveling, I lived in Scotland for about 30 years, and when you live in Scotland or the UK, where the trains were invented, so obviously that can become your favorite mode of transport.
True.
So I started traveling within the UK, and I started reading about the history of trains. And then when I would visit Pakistan, I wanted to explore whatever was left from
Of the
that
railways.
era.
Yeah.
And I was glad to see that there's a lot of train stations and paraphernalia that Pakistan has from the British era, because we've not kind of added a lot since the British left. And in the
That's a
UK,
nicer way of saying it.
yes. So things, obviously there has been,
Yeah.
some additions and modernization, but not at the pace it should have happened. In Scotland and in England, I started visiting heritage railways, because I'm not that keen on, modern trains.
Yeah.
I love, that nostalgia, that childhood nostalgia with steam engines and vintage carriages and all that. Yes, absolutely. And I was pleasantly surprised to find out that in the UK, the heritage railways are run by volunteers.
Okay.
So what they do is, because they want to preserve the old carriages, steam engines, and the old tracks. So when the government disbands an old railway station that's not needed, so people come together, they raise funds, they form like an NGO type of organization, and they buy those railway paraphernalia and carriages, and then they run those railway heritage societies. So I was really impressed, and I thought that I need to do something to maybe have some kind of
So more people can see-
replica of
Yes,
that
okay.
in Pakistan. So for many years I've been trying. Every time I come to Pakistan, I meet the railway minister or somebody in charge, and then next time I come, the government has changed and their priorities have changed as well. But that said, I mean, we should always live in hope, so I still have hope. I also want to connect railway enthusiasts in the UK and in Pakistan. And a few years ago, I was lucky to secure some funding from the British Council.
Wow.
And I worked with Pakistani University, like history and political science students, and we produced a documentary, a short documentary on the shared legacy between UK and Pakistan around railways. And obviously it was a very interesting project. We involved the youth, and as you know, youth is disconnected with a lot of things that are to do with heritage and history of our region. So I think that is just one kind of step, and I hope through your platform my voice reaches some relevant people, departments.
Awano tak aapki awaaz ja rahi hai.
And-
And certainly thank you so much for saying that, because it brings back so many fond memories to me, because we used to, in my early days I still remember that we used to go to Karachi, with the entire family, and then the bogies and whatnot, and then air conditioned, and so everything came in. Did you actually try to kind of work around how there was a local train system within Karachi?
No.
And people would commute from one place to another?
Well, I have some idea, because we do have, these metros and underground stations in the UK, but I think that's all gone now, because
Exactly.
it slowly disappeared. But what I would like to say is that in Pakistan, one of my favorite train journeys is from Golra railway station in Islamabad to Attakhurt. And I just love visiting that place, because it's just so nostalgic, and the good thing is that Pakistan Railways has preserved that railway
route,
station in its original condition. It was built in 1881.
True.
So, and they have museums there
There's
for
those old
railway
engines over there
enthusiasts.
as well. Yes, I think it's great. How do you feel when you come across, the peripheria of when we speak about the trains from the 18th century, or probably, even older than that, if you're speaking about Scotland or UK, I think they might have preserved probably trains whenever they existed.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's almost 200 years old, paraphernalia, memorabilia. Also, I was pleasantly again surprised that in Pakistan, there used to be train signaling system back in those days. The token, it's called token ball system, and it's basically to prevent collisions, because now we have like multiple tracks, but in the initial days there was a single track. So to avoid and prevent collisions, they use that token ball system. It's become obsolete in the whole world, but there's a track in Pakistan, in Peshawar, where they still use that, token ball system. So it's such a great thing for railway enthusiasts, because they read about this in books or maybe see in old films. So if we can bring railway enthusiasts from the UK to Pakistan, they can see it actually happening.
Preserve heritage.
And not just that, I think in addition to this, there's a lot of romanticism around trains and tracks, and if you go to Europe even now, you get a day pass, you can go to any other country in Europe, and when you watch films, I think the other day I was watching, this guy, I mean, I cannot recall, it's his sister now, who was actually, one of the detectives, intelligence detectives.
All right, I think you're talking about Murder
on the Orient Express.
Yes, exactly. So I think I was fascinated to see, but not just that. I think when we are to kind of speak about trains, I think they have contributed towards economy. Let's talk about Pakistan and India. When Pakistan came into being, it was trains who actually brought our family members. So trains have done quite a lot. So if you are to speak about trains on that topic, what would you share?
First of all, I am also interested, I mean, for me, it's not just a journey, it's a step back in time, and also it's about connectedness. So the trains connected, I mean, South Asia is a huge, region, and before the arrival of the trains, and obviously before partition, somebody living in Bombay and somebody living in Quetta or Balochistan, they didn't know, what the culture was in that area. So the trains brought diverse groups of people together. And like you were saying, economy, and contributed to the economy. And I see a lot of tourism potential. I mean, in Europe and in the developed world, train travel, tourism, closely related, and even the heritage railways, they attract tourists from all over the globe.
Exactly.
So if we kind of, promote that.
Imagine, a train, leaves from somewhere in Quetta, goes to Iran, then take us to Turkey, and all of that. I think that'll be fascinating. I'll be all for it. But thank you so much, Madam ANILA, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you. And imagine that in the 13 years that I've been working in television or media industry, this is for the very first time that I've actually come across a lady like you, who's into trains and talking about that, how probably the government really needs to kind of look after their heritage, because it's going to speak volumes about how we made it to Pakistan, how our economy was boosted. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
To have you.
Can I just say something quickly? If you are interested in heritage railways, then please follow me on YouTube. My YouTube handle is called Scottistani. That documentary I was talking about, that's there as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us, Ms. Scottistani.
Thank you so much.
Conversation
I love that.
And on this note, I think I'm going to ask Eesha now. Eesha, have you ever been on a train?
All right, I have not been on a Pakistani train. However, when I went to Europe, I went on the Eurostar train connecting all over Europe. So we traveled on that, which was a very pleasant experience. However, now after this conversation, I do want to visit all the heritage sites and travel on a Pakistani train.
But ladies and gentlemen, at this point of time, there's an important development that I would want to share, so other than the conversation that we were having, imagine we do know how Netanyahu actually is a criminal and is wanted by the International Court of Justice. So International Criminal Court rejects Israel's bids to withdraw arrest warrants for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. The court also turns down Israel's request to suspend the wider ICC investigation into alleged atrocity crimes in the Palestinian territories, saying proceedings continue while legal issues are reviewed. Israel argues the ICC lacks jurisdiction and points to an appeal ruling ordering a review.
And just yesterday we spoke about the International Day of Justice, and I think we're very glad to see how justice is prevailing and how steps are being taken to hold the people accountable for genocide.
Exactly, and at this point of time, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to head out towards a short break. We'll be right back in 30 seconds, and we're speaking about something very religious and spiritual. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for staying with us. Ladies and gentlemen, there's one thing, it's a practice that I've been doing, and that is that whenever rain occurs, always make sure that I recite Surah Qadr. And it is said that, as many raindrops that come down falling, Allah will provide you with more risk if you recite Surah Qadr. So this is a blessing of rain. On the other hand, obviously rain can be destructive too. To speak about the spiritual aspect, the religious aspect, and how it's a blessing from Allah Almighty, we're very lucky that we've been joined by Mr. SANAULLAH KIANI, who happens to be a religious scholar. Hello sir, assalamu alaikum. Jummah Mubarak, how are you?
Walaikum assalam, alhamdulillah. How are you?
Absolutely perfect. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Please go ahead, take us through rain, a source of blessing from Allah.
Yes, the rain is a blessing of Allah, and it is also a manifestation of Allah's power and will and divine system. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned the rain many times in the Quran. هُوَ الَّذِي أَنزَلَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً لَكُم مِّنْهُ شَرَابٌ وَشَجَرٌ. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that I have sent down the rain, and there is water for you to drink, for your animals, and يُنْبِتُ لَكُم بِهِ الزَّرْعَ وَالنَّخِيلَ وَالْأَعْنَابِ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grows for you the crops and the dates palm and the other fruits from it. So this is the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Which is why, so the larger topic that I would want you to kind of share with us and with our audiences, or without us asking questions, the wisdom, divine wisdom behind natural events. So.
Yes, because it is our belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ultimate running of this universe.
True.
So this is not just, the rain is not just a random and chaotic event. This is a measured and a planned act of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So He wills when, where and how much rain will fall. Okay. So it is His own decision. So in history, in Islamic history, and even in the past events when the other people were there exist, so there was rain of the stone as well. وَأَمْطَرْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ حِجَارَةً. So we have sent the stone on them. So it has happened in the past. So the divine wisdom behind this rain is that we should believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has power, and He has a system that runs the rain.
Exactly.
And also behind this rain system, we should be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should cultivate the thankfulness that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's the only ultimate beings that sends the
exactly,
the
which
rain.
is why, Sanabhai, I think at this point of time the question needs to be that we actually experienced a really long dry winters, right?
Yes.
And we did see that there was no rain, and then all of a sudden when it starts to rain, we did see how now we are actually getting into a zone where there are a lot of floods, a lot of lives are being lost. Does that really mean that hun sudhar jao?
Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually says فَقُلْتُ اسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ, that repent your sins from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that يُرْسِلِ السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِدْرَارًا. So if you will repent, He will send the rainfall from the sky, so that like the world will revive. And this is one thing. The other thing that Prophet Muhammad, it was the practice of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that and there are du'as as well, supplications as well for the rain, that if you think that rainfall is going destructive, so you should pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in some specific word that says that.
Go ahead. Please go ahead. Share that with us.
Yes. So Allahumma sayyiban nafi'a, Allah bless us with the beneficial rain. And there is one more detailed dua on it. Allahumma asqina ghaysan mughisan. O Allah, give us the beneficial rain. Mari'an muri'an. It should be very pleasant rainfall. Nafi'an ghayra dharrin. It should be beneficial, it should not be destructive. Ajilan ghayra ajil. So it should come as soon as you can give us. So this is a beautiful prayer that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has guided us.
We need this prayer in today's
Yes.
But Shahzad, speaking of this point, you talked about how we're experiencing a dry spell in the winters and a wet spell in the summers. So as humans, Allah Ta'ala has blessed us with brains, wisdom and knowledge. So why don't we install weather systems and monsoon rain drainage collecting systems that we can store the water now and then use it during the dry spells in the winter? I think we as humans need to take this initiative and use our brains and use the knowledge and wisdom we've been given to actually help each other in humanity. This is how we're tested and tried about how efficient our systems
Eesha,
are.
it's a great question, but it's more like how, today, right at the beginning, you did mention that, people within the Kachi Abadi really need to move from their homes. Now, why do they live in Kachi Abadi? Is because of the fact that they cannot afford a Pakka home, right? So I think that actually kind of answers your question, that for us to install those systems, we really need more money. The government needs to kind of prioritize it as well. Sir, please go ahead.
Yes, definitely. It is we should plan the cities and towns in a way that they should be according to our weather systems.
True.
So they should address and they should adhere to the weather conditions as well, so that they should not be cause for harm to the human lives.
And not just that, I think in addition to this, it's not even government's fault over here, but I think it's rather people's fault. I think we have been encroaching. Imagine that that a hotel which actually was flooded in Swat, the gentleman actually constructed the hotel at the same place again. Now, I think it's our fault as well. But unfortunately, what I would want to kind of, if there's somebody listening to us today, and that is that, that for that infrastructure that we have been building in record time, what we do need to do is that we need to make sure that the quality stands. Because imagine just yesterday, I think, there were a few incidents in F8 Islamabad, and where the roads actually kind of swept away because of the flooding. So I think we really need to kind of focus on quality more than the speed. But
please go ahead. And speaking from a religious perspective, talk about the importance of cleanliness. Safai nisf maan hai, right? So are we implying that if rainwater falls and there's dirt all around us, right? So that rainwater is going to be harmful for us. But if
that's
we are
where I
clean,
work. That's where I work as well. This is also the part of Islam, Iman. Half of the Iman is the cleanliness.
Yep.
So we can start from our home. We have baskets at our homes, so we should categorize the garbage as green waste and the recycled waste and the waste that is really garbage. So they can be recycled or they can be used for. So, and the same is the case should be at our city level. So the city government should install the baskets in such a way that they should categorize the garbage as well.
Exactly, but we do have them on the airports now as well. But thank you so much, Sana Saab, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you. Thank you so much for sharing references from the Quran, and not just that, from the Ahadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, look after yourself, look after around the people who surround you, and please make sure that if you've watched our show and it was informative, that you share this information, pass this information on to other people. Until next time, look after yourselves. Good morning. Jummah Mubarak. Allah Hafiz. Thank you, sir.